Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've got kind of an opening unboxing of another Knipex plier, and basically it's going to add to my suite of different cutting tools. I've got, big cable cutters, bolt cutters, ratcheting cable cutters, heavy duty lineman cutters, smaller cable cutters, curved blades, standard snap-on cutters, and then here's a couple of my Knipex. Now I've got the smaller CoBolts basically with the 200 millimeter handles. I'm actually interested in the 160 millimeter handles, so that might show up later if I can find a pair. But these are really nice, very small bite. And I did an unboxing of the 7401 250s to get a longer handle. Now, one of the things I want to point out before I open it up is that this is a flat blade all the way through. This one has what's known by Knipex as a recess. And what they have is a flat blade. Put it up against this here. You can see it's a flat blade, but it only cuts up near the front completely. There's that gap down at the bottom. That's what Knipex calls a recess, and they actually have recess and non-recess versions. This one is designed, they say, for cutting larger round material. The problem is I can cut all day. If I throw it down by the pivot and cut, nothing happens really. I kind of scratch the wire is all. You can see right here, it's not doing much. I have to get up here in order to cut the wire. Down here, I can do this all day long, and it's not going to cut the wire. In fact, it's still pretty solid. Versus something like this, where I can quickly slide it right down to the pivot, and it snips it off. Got it way down on the pivot. You can see there. Cuts it. This one I'd have to move it up above this point. Here it won't cut, here it will cut. Also, if I was trying to cut flat material, this is what I get. You can see that it didn't cut anything at this point, whereas here I can just slide this in and snip it off because it has the entire blade. So let's see what I've got here. This is kind of interesting. I don't know what this means. I got this off Amazon. This is a set. Do not separate. There it is. The CoBolt XL. This is the 250 millimeter version. And don't throw your tools in the baby crib. To keep with my red theme, I'm going to use the Milwaukee insulation kind of duck knife. This thing is a little interesting because I imagine in some jurisdictions, maybe many, it's illegal because you can't sharpen the top of the blade in addition to the main cutting edge of the blade. Then it turns it into a dirk or a dagger. So some places that's illegal, but I guess maybe if it's a tool. Anyway, so let's cut this guy open and see what we've got here. Slice this down the middle. This is really sharp. I like that knife. Okay. And there they are. Nothing else in there. Let me wipe some of the grease off here. There they are. The 7101 250s. Main parts of it, obviously, it's got the parallel cutting jaws. This has the non-recessed option, and it has a grabbing set of anvils down here, so you can pull wire or grab a hold of something. It's very similar in size. I wasn't sure how big it would be. It looks like it is just a touch bigger. So if I just do a quick measurement side to side, I grabbed it on that one. That's the size difference there. This is what I was most interested in, was how big from, say, the pivot to the top was that a difference. It looks like it's just a very small difference. And the reason is I've gained 50 millimeters 5 centimeters of handle length. That's pure leverage, because the position here on these two is about the same, which means the entire 50 millimeters is added to this end of the lever handle. I wasn't sharing any of it really with the jaws, so the jaws weren't getting proportionately bigger as well. Whereas some pliers, as you move up, the jaws get bigger, which means the distance from the pivot to the end of the jaws is also increasing, which also means that you're sharing some of that handle length, or some of the overall length, with a place other than the handle. But anyway, I was curious about this as a larger one. It can open up pretty wide. You can see a little bit wider. This one, nice and wide. Generally, you don't have to grab something like that, but I have cut wood with this. And it comes in handy, whereas obviously you increase the leverage, you know, the handles would be, you know, two-handed if I had this jaw open much more. Now you can see this is flat here. This one is recessed. That's the difference. I wanted a flat one because I've run into problems, you know, with the recess. So you can see, get some light going through here. You can see there's no hole. So I should be able to cut through this stuff quite easily. Oh yeah, look at that. No problem. A lot more leverage than this, but this is a lot smaller head. Still very handy. But obviously the CoBolt, or CoBolt maybe is what they're saying, is a better or more powerful design. Good handles. I couldn't find the handles with the kind of the multicolor comfort grip. A little bit of spring in them. That's always can be welcome, because then when you hit that hard snap at the end of a, you know, a harsh cut, there's a little bit of spring, so it doesn't necessarily send shock waves through your hand and up your arm. So it, you know, it's less stressful. Fit and finish, these is great. There's a little resistance, not much. That's probably fine here. This one's starting to loosen a little. This one easily would pass my rubber band test or my weight test. The finish, Knipex just makes such nicely finished tools. And look at those cutting blades. Those knives are great. Kind of a little bit of industrial finish there, that's fine, but polished out by the name where it matters. Made in Germany. Chrome vanadium, 3.8 millimeter piano wire, I assume is the maximum capacity. That's pretty big. But there they are, my new Knipex. With the non-recessed blade. Compare them a little bit to this. This does get a little frustrating when you're constantly, you know, sliding it up in wire, which is one of the reasons I also wanted to get this, you know, when I was doing a lot more gardening this spring, because I was cutting a lot of fencing wire, and I just want to be able to easily cut it. I don't want to have to fight it, you know, and find that sweet spot in the middle. I want to run it up to the end. And no problem there. I can grab it all the way to the very end. I can wedge it down as tight as it'll go into that, and it separates it. So another win for Knipex, and another experience with some of those smaller design elements that it's kind of cool that they're spending the time working on. And with that, Doc out.